Hi, Amazon API Gateway is natively integrated with many AWS services. This makes it very easy to build serverless and event-driven architectures on AWS without writing any custom logic and code. Okay, so in this video, let us understand how to implement one of such integrations using Terraform with the production-ready code and configuration. Let's get started. Hi all, in this lab, let us understand how to implement message caching at API gateway. Okay, so most of the times, if there is no response, if there's no change in the response from the backend, then there is no need to call the backend API to save cost and also the latency for the end user clients. Okay, now let us get started how this works. Okay. So let us say we have created one REST API called calculate price, and within that we have created one resource called median price calculator, and the backend is Lambda. Now when the client sends a request to this API, now the first thing the API gateway does is to check whether the response is already available in the cache. Okay, if it is there, then it will simply take the response and send to the clients. Okay, that means the backend Lambda will not be invoked. So that means it is improving the cost and also the experience for the end user customers. Okay, now in case if the cache does not have the data, then it will make a regular call to the backend and gets the response and sends it back to the client. So based upon the configuration that we have done. Okay, now let us go to the source code and see how to implement the caching functionality on API gateway. So in this lab, let us understand how to implement caching functionality. Okay, let's go to the API gateway.tf file. Okay, so we are creating one REST API called calculate price, which is a regional endpoint. Okay, now let us go to the caching functionality. So we are implementing one resource called median price calculator. Okay, now for this particular resource, so we have to configure the method. Okay, so let us look at the method configuration. So the type of the HTTP method is post, and we are not using any authorization, that is none. And API key required is also false, and the validation is set to true. So that means the input request should have this region, because based on the region only we are actually doing the caching. Okay, so let us proceed further. So the integration also straightforward. We are just transforming the input request to the region. So this is simple template that we are using it. Now, if you go further, the integration response is also straightforward. We are not doing any transformation here as well. And the method response is empty. We are using the empty response model. We're not doing any changes there as well. Okay. Now let us go to the console and see how this is implemented and looks like. Okay. So this is our API gateway, and the median price calculator is the resource, and we have one method called post, and the method request does not have much configuration. Integration request, as we saw, so there is one configuration with respect to the region mapping, and if you look at the method request once, so here you see that the URL query string parameter should have the region, and required is false, and the caching. So caching is enabled for this. Okay. So if the clients are sending with this query parameter, the response is cached. So let's proceed further. In the integration response also, it is straightforward. And in the integration request, you see this lambda that we are using to calculate the median price. So this is implemented using the Node.js. So it's a simple code. Method, method response is also um, using the empty model and default response of 200. Okay. Now let us go to the console and terminal and see how to test this functionality. Okay. Now here I'm getting the URL endpoint. So this is the top level URL, and to that I'm appending median price calculation. So I've already run the command. So if you go further here, See, the first command which I'm sending to this API, it took 1.0 seconds, okay? And the second command, subsequent commands are taking only 0.7 and 0.7. So that means almost 300 milliseconds of time is saved because of the caching. So this is how we can see that the caching is implemented automatically for this API. So let's also look at the console, some caching level configuration that we have done at the staging level. So let's go to the console and look at the stage. So if I go to the stage and look at the caching configuration, so the cache cluster is configured, and so we can also see the caching at the override at the individual resource level. So for example, if I take this resource, which is median price calculator, the method is this. So I've done an override. Okay. So apart from the caching configuration at the stage level, we can do an individual method override also. So if you see, caching is enabled for this particular method. So the way I've done is I went to edit, okay, and here I've enabled the method cache. Okay, so that's how I've done. So that is where we can override the stage level configuration with the individual level method level. Okay, so with this we can see that the caching is implemented by API gateway, which improves the end user response, saves cost also.